Now, no say this thing wey happen for Edo State, nobody dey talk about am. Is it that 30-something people in a country like Nigeria, 30-something people dey no mean anything to this country? Everybody move on with im campaign. Everybody, nobody care. Like say the thing na normal thing. Like say na normal, say e suppose happen. Like say dem go buy bread, dem no see bread, dem come back home. People dey go make dem enter train. These people come and carry all of them enter forest. Till now, we dey follow we talk, so nobody wey dem don see. And nobody dey talk about am. Everybody just keep quiet. Nigeria, may I share this video? See the things wey dey arise new. See the thing wey Rufai talk. Rufai dey talk am. Say why e be say nobody dey talk about this thing? Even the people wey dey campaign, none of them dey talk about am. Na how to dey insult each other, na im dey do up and down. Make I watch this video. See the way wey Rufai take dey para on top of these things, and na truth. If you take away na truth, nobody dey talk about the matter. Like say e no mean anything. 32 people, 32 Nigerians wey now dem dey for forest, dem no dey their homes. Dem get children, some get family, some na person pikin. Everybody dey keep quiet. You no good o.
If you remember, I think I probably will say it, and I said it when the March incident happened. It will happen again. And I'm not a prophet of doom. I feel for the family members, but it will happen again because it's Nigeria. And culture, we eat strategy for breakfast, and we don't learn anything. You talked about the family. Let me start from the family. Are we even sure we have a proper manifest? Hope we didn't have ticket racketeering again, that some people bought ticket through black market means. Are we even sure we have a proper record of the people that bought ticket that were waiting on the tarmac for the train? Let's start from there. So where you can't keep a proper manifest of those that bought ticket, how are we going to contact the families? In the coming days, the families will start coming. I hope the Ministry of Transport will not treat them like they treat the families of the Kaduna victims, that they pushed aside and they told they were stupid because their own people were kidnapped. We are waiting to see how the Ministry of Transport will treat them, because when they come to protest, hope we know they have a right to protest. And hope we will not use them for photo ops again after so many months, because when they release some of them, remember how we used some people for photo ops? They went to meet the president, they were shaking hands and all after months in captivity. Hope we are not going to do that again. We don't learn in this country. I hope we even have CCTV cameras in that train station. Hope we have technology. Hope we have security, because the place was isolated. What security measure was? That place was miles away from the Igwebe General Hospital. Isolated there in the bush. And it's not today we've had activities of bandits around that area. But what was done? Nothing. So you see, culture will eat strategy for breakfast. What I mean is that no matter how much strategy you talk about on the pages of newspaper, if you don't have the culture to do what is right, then nothing will happen. So it will definitely happen again. It is Nigeria. I'm sure we all said that was the last time the March incident happened. And hope people will not politicize the matter. We all remember how Dr. Chinelo was shot, and she tweeted that she was shot, and how some people with certain political parties leaning started mocking Dr. Chinelo, because in Nigeria everything is politics, just like they've started again. It's bad news, we are reporting bad news because it's political season. Hope some people will not be daft enough to keep these mindsets of politics come first before the lives of people. I don't know where people even draw the line of all this nonsense they do because of politics. Let us build a country that will stand the test. So this country is great, and it has the capacity to even be greater. We can't build red lights and live it at the expense of people, and they just get damaged and they just get kidnapped. The president must take responsibility. The buck stops with him, not the Edo State Police Command.
Very sad, Rufai, as you said, and very unfortunate. On a Monday morning, what we would love to talk about on a day like this is just, perhaps positive news around the economy or gains of the government around security. Unfortunately, 10 months after a similar incident on the Abuja-Kaduna train line, we have another attack on a train station, or at a train station, this time in Edo State, southern Nigeria. Now, the details you've already talked about. Unfortunately, again, despite the fact that a number of reports have said about 32 people, the exact number of people who were abducted by these, would you call them kidnappers, bandits, terrorists, no one has come out to say that they're responsible for this. We don't have the exact number of people who have been taken away. However, what we do know is that the station manager, Mr. Gordon Okpe, as well as another staff of the station, were amongst those who were taken away. Reports from eyewitnesses on ground say that the bandits or the suspected kidnappers or abductors were actually profiling some of the people that they took away. So they were looking at those who were rich, who had, expensive wristwatches and the likes, just to mention a few things and characteristics around this particular incident. And then they said they came in, a number of people came in from the bush, shot sporadically into the air, and then asked the passengers who were on the platform to lay flat, and then carted away some of them into the bush and by foot herded them into the bush. And they said shortly afterwards security agencies came to the scene and were in hot pursuit of these criminals into the bush. Unfortunately, reports from the Saturday when this happened on the 7th of January about 4 p.m. in the evening, there hasn't been much in terms of recovery. There are reports here and there about one or two people, one person escaping, one or two people being apprehended, and a suspect also in police custody. However, a few things to notice: the men were bearing AK-47 arms, so they were heavily armed. And then the report is that the train station is in an isolated area, and there was no security. There were no security men or women around that area. That's a red flag. Rufai, you said something, or you tweeted something about the fact that oftentimes in security in Nigeria, we are reactive rather than proactive. This was the same accusation of security agencies during the Abuja-Kaduna train incident. And you begin to wonder that, do we learn lessons from incidences in Nigeria? What kind of intelligence gathering do we do in Nigeria? Must we have situations like this before we begin to call to action, have visitations? I hear the Deputy Governor of Edo State, Mr. Philip Shuaibu, has gone there to visit. We don't want visitations. What we want is a concerted effort by security agencies to prevent incidents like this reoccurring in Nigeria. The Abuja-Kaduna train incident was one too many. We shouldn't have to have another one for us to wake up again and decide, okay, let's start moving around and thinking, what can we do? A few things have been suggested, and I must commend the presidential candidate of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, for a few things he said, which I very much agree with. Number one, as I mentioned earlier on, more proactive rather than reactive. Collect intelligence. Work with the local community to gather information. Many of these people live in these communities. They're eyewitnesses. How can men carry over 30 people by foot and people don't have information about that? It's suspect. And then the second thing, during the Kaduna incident, the Minister of Transportation at that point, Honorable Rotimi Amechi, had said that if the government had listened to them to buy surveillance equipment, then this wouldn't have happened. What happened to surveillance equipment? Should we not think that after what happened in Kaduna, the train track to Kaduna, that we should equip all our train stations with equipment? These are the questions, critical questions, and I believe that we should come to a point in our country where heads have to roll. People have to be fired. Sanctions when things like this happen for negligence. Dr.